Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Sunday, May 15th, 2022 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I align with the cosmic rhythms of my divine flow. And today it is eclipse day. Now technically, for some of you in the world this is happening on Monday, some it's still happening on Sunday, but we are in the build-up. And I always say, like, an eclipse, what makes an eclipse intense is not necessarily the sign it is in, although Scorpio has a certain level of intensity. It's not whether it's a full or partial eclipse. This one is a full eclipse, full lunar eclipse, blood moon eclipse. What usually will make the most intensity is where it's hitting in your chart, if it's hitting anything, or if there are a lot of aspects. And this eclipse has aspects of the wazoo. Now, this lesson, eclipses are kind of like downloads. This energy of this eclipse, while we are going to feel it so strongly right now over the next few days, probably already have been feeling it coming in, eclipse energies do work us for the next 6 months. And we will have a second eclipse in Scorpio later this year. So we're really working these Scorpio lessons coming in. So this is a good video to save, mark, post to come back to, because you are going to find these themes reoccurring, these lessons. Eclipses kind of bring us a download. So we get hit with the download and then we start unfolding it in our lives in cosmic timing. So this eclipse in Scorpio lessons. One of the greatest lessons of Scorpio is the lesson of knowing how to place a boundary. Scorpio is where we recognize after the lessons of Libra, oh, hey, we're interconnected, all of these relationship energies. Oh, wait, this isn't working for me. So Scorpio is all right, put a boundary. Put a boundary where it's needed. That's a big part of what we need to utilize in Scorpio from this eclipse. We also need to utilize the power of alchemy that Scorpio brings. Scorpio is the sign that brings transformation. And what we are doing is we are transforming our fear, our pain, our trauma, survival wounds, survival energies that we carry within us into empowerment. And so your work in this eclipse is to notice where these survival issues, where these deeper, darker wounds are within us, and how we can rise through these energies, empower ourselves through these energies. This is not necessarily easy work. It is facing some of the deep dark within us, and it's recognizing no matter how pure you feel that you are this purity, and yet there is always stuff to be worked through. Now, part of this always stuff to be worked through is some of these connections feeding into this eclipse. We have Mars and Neptune in Pisces, 23 and 24 degrees. So definitely some karmic energies around that young energy that we are processing. We also have Saturn energy feeding in, conditioning, the shoulds, where society, where the law has wanted us to show up that is not true to ourselves. We also have Venus and Chiron conjunct, so healing for yin energy within all of us. And the yin is something that the yin and yang energies need healing, both, but there's been so much suppression of yin, and while yin is out of balance, the yang truly can't rise into its greatest power. So we have healing on this yin energy that will be bubbling up in and through all of this as well, not to mention the nodal energies. This full moon lunar eclipse is with the south node, processing out old patterns so that we can align with the sun, the North Node in Taurus, leaning into our gifts, leaning into yin energy, leaning into prosperity, leaning into abundance, moving away from where we have let fear move us, guide us, have a hold on us, into where we are in this divine flow, this divine unfolding. So there is so much power packed into this eclipse energy. The Sabian symbol, I mentioned it in yesterday's scope, it bears repeating. The Sabian symbol for 25 degrees Scorpio, which is where this eclipse is an X-ray photograph. And so that's Scorpio's ability. Like, Scorpio is like a human lie detector. Scorpio is an X-ray photograph in itself. Scorpio energy, if you have it in you, usually knows how to like dial in to the wound. So it's using this within ourselves. We all have the gift. We all have Scorpio within ourselves somewhere, in our chart somewhere. Even if you don't have any planets, it's somewhere in that wheel for you. And so it's honing in, whether it's asking spirit to support you, listening to your body, tuning into fears, or just tuning into the energies that come up. It's really interesting because in an innocent conversation that I was having with a friend yesterday, a really big issue that I have been working with for so long and thought I'd kind of put to bed, kind of resurfaced and showed me, oh, there is still stuff to be working here. So watch for those onion peels coming up and be like, oh, that's a piece of this energy. I'm actually going to share. I wasn't necessarily going to, sorry, not being encouraged by a spirit to share. The piece that I was looking at is a piece of shame. And this shame energy keeps me out of my power. It keeps me small. It keeps me afraid. It keeps me feeling unloved and unworthy. And so I think so many of us carry this energy in different ways. So awareness around these things is going to be huge. And your ability to be present with that energy. I sent love to where I was feeling it in my body, and then did some other things. But even just being able to do that can help you move through this energy. I think the biggest thing, though, is noticing where fear is being pushed in the world. And it doesn't mean, when fear is being pushed, it doesn't mean that there's not necessarily reason. But just because a fear energy is being pushed does not mean that we have to engage it. So keeping your awareness around that, and keeping your awareness that there is more than enough love in the world for us. More than enough love. I always say this at the end of every scope. It means more than enough money. There is more than enough money for each and every single one of us in the world. There's more than enough food for each and every single one of us in the world. There's more than enough land. There's more than enough love, romance, people to be with in this world. Any idea of lack is created and being utilized. So the less we can give our power into lack, the better. But it takes awareness of cultivating it. And again, all of us can fall into that. But it's like monitoring, being aware of that energy. And part of this, I think, is leaning into the yin, that Chiron Venus conjunction that we have. Yin energy knows the power of creation. And with the power of creation, none of us need ever go hungry. None of us need ever go without being able to offer our gifts to the world. There is so much here for us. But part of this is the ability to embrace who we are. And part of being able to embrace who we are is releasing old, probably past life fears around survival, where we weren't necessarily allowed to be our divine selves. So this energy has so much going on. I can't believe I've gotten this far without even mentioning the time of the eclipse. So the peak of the full moon is 9:14 p.m. Pacific time. I think the peak of the eclipse is 9:11 p.m. Pacific time. If you look on timeanddate.com, they usually have a thing where you can check out like if you can see the eclipse. I think a large part of North America will be able to see this eclipse. I don't know if we will, because we're going to have a storm. But where you can see it and the timing of it. So check out timeanddate.com for those details. Leading up to the eclipse, oh my goodness, it is a really busy transit day. We begin with the moon opposite Uranus. So we're bringing up these triggers to click on for the day. Be aware of what is triggering you, because this is part of the work that's coming through with this eclipse. How can you stay peaceful, grounded within yourself, even as you are addressing this energy? Venus and Chiron, their meeting is 5:12 a.m. So again, bringing forth the yin. This is the nurturing. This is your intuition. Loving on who you are. Showing up in action in regards to self-care can be very powerful in this energy. Then the moon is, or not the moon, sorry, the sun is going to be squaring Saturn. So our innovation, how we are trying to evolve and shift right now, feeling those conditioning energies, feeling the energies of the shoulds. Be aware where you make yourself small to align with the shoulds, and how can you break through? How can you rebel beyond this energy? No compromising our souls anymore. I know it's a process, right? But that's the work. The sun is then going to be connecting with Neptune. So this is like divine lessons, divine unfolding. Mars is there as well. Keeping aware, are your actions feeding the fears? Are your actions feeding your divine unfolding in this energy? Moon and Mars connecting. Watch for where there may be emotional outpour. This is coming later in the day. So there may be some emotions building that need to be moved through you. Mars reminds us to make it physical. Doesn't mean physically punch somebody, but get into the physical with this. And then the moon's going to come through, squaring Saturn, trining Neptune before that eclipse and full moon happen in the 9 o'clock hour. So those squares with Saturn, again, feeling that conditioning. Your lesson in this, patience and nothingness. Recognizing your creative power in this. The nothingness card is a card of pure potentiality. This eclipse doesn't have to be scary. It can be scary for some, and it doesn't have to be. And if you can stay grounded in your power, stop compromising, stop giving yourself away, there's so much here for you. So I'm actually going to leave this here. I will be talking about this more in tomorrow's scope, so check back. Again, save this because this may be helpful for you moving through this. So you can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. Have the power and honor your values. Namaste.